Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. So today we are going to be trying to organize, or reorganize rather, all of my single eyeshadows. And then through this, I also would like to do a little bit of decluttering. I have quite a few random magnetic Z palettes with shadows in them that are just kind of all over the place. I also have some single shadows from Coastal Scents that I had purchased at one point. I have two old Makeup Forever tins, which they don't make anymore, that are super strong magnets. This is one that had some sort of more natural shades. I've obviously picked from this and built other palettes. I've got this little one here that is another Makeup Forever palette that has some Sydney Grace shadows in it. And then I have this giant Adept Cosmetics plastic sort of two-sided one. And right now these are organized by brand in here, not by color family. What I'm realizing is that I think I would rather have everything by color family. I think this is what I'm going to do. I apologize guys, I'm usually a lot more organized when it comes to declutters and all of these things, but these shadows are just in such disarray right now that I feel like the only thing I can do is to pull everything out of the palettes, drop it here in the middle of the table, but I'm really not going into this with the goal of like cutting this collection in half. I really do enjoy and like having gobs of single shadows. So do we just start throwing these out on the table? I think let's do that. Let's just put them all out on the table. So I'm out of room in the little space that I've created for myself here. So I'm gonna try and move the camera up a little bit so I can use up more of the table, because I like this sort of amoeba thing I've got going on here between colors. And I still have quite a few shadows that I need to plunk in here. So I'm gonna readjust the camera real quickly. So that's a lot. Understatement of the century. I'm gonna try and pan. You can see it's gone off to the sides, and it's also gone down below. If I were to scoot all these up, it's going down quite a bit. Yeah, so that is what we are working with here. I think what I'm gonna do is kind of see if I can cut off this whole right half and push that over to the side. That way we can deal with purples and blues and greens separately. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna give myself a little bit more space to play in front of this camera, and I think I'm gonna push all the warm stuff down into this corner that's not on camera. All right, so now we are looking at my cool tone shades. I think I'm gonna try and organize these in terms of color family so that I can kind of then do some swatching. What I'm realizing is I actually don't have a lot of like pure gray shadows, and I kind of wish I had more, to be honest. That just proves you can have so many different gray undertones. I honestly feel like because I have not as many grays as I honestly would like in my collection, I think I'm gonna hang on to all of them. So this first shade here is Elven Silver from Coastal Scents. Then this more taupey gray is Green Steel, also from Coastal Scents. And then Concrete Jungle, which is slightly more taupey leaning, less grayish leaning. This is an Urban Decay. Let's see, what are these? This is Moonspoon. This is one of their, what is that glitter formula? Moonshadow, I think is what they call them. This is Brownstone from Coastal Scents, which is more of a brownish gray. This is more of a greenish gray, and I don't know what color this is. It doesn't have any labeling on the outside. Then I've got a true sort of cool toned blue-green here. I would say this is neutral. This doesn't seem to lean blue or green or taupe. In ash gray from Coastal Scents, and then burnished brunette, also from Coastal Scents, a little bit deeper. So I am going to hang on to all of the ones that I just swatched here in this sort of gray family, because I feel like they are all kind of unique and different than a lot of shades in my collection. So I'm going to pull off and keep the grays. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go white, black, gray at the beginning of palettes, and I'm going to try and figure out which palettes I want to use and kind of build out those color stories. But I'm going to go white, black, gray, taupes, these kinds of shades here, into more purpley taupes, which is what I'm seeing here. And then I'm going to move from that into what I would consider to be more muted purples. So things like that, or like this. So things that are purple but are clearly more muted. From there, we will move into bright purples. So things like royal purples and so on and so forth. That helps my thinking here, because now I just need to kind of rainbow this nonsense out. Okay, we need to focus on true taupes. We've identified our grays. All right, so here are the 6 shades that I've identified as like true cool tone taupes. Matte shade in Stone from Anastasia, definitely one of my favorite transition shades. And then this is Take the Lead by ColourPop. This is Frosty Taupe by, what is this? Coastal Scents. These 2 shades I feel like are almost absolutely identical. So the first shade is Anastasia Victorian, and the section, well, it's a good thing I can identify that those shades look exactly alike, because they are the exact same shade. So I apparently at some point bought 2 of Anastasia Victorian. So that I'm going to go ahead and declutter the second one. And then this is a little duochrome down at the end here. That is the shade Bewitched from Prestige Cosmetics, which is awesome. I love that shade. All right, so we're going to keep those 5. I definitely feel like I've got this sort of murky purple tone family going on down here. So I want to set these off to the side and get to them in a second here and make sure that I don't have any dupes and that they're all shades I want to keep. And then I've got this sort of pinky purple shade that I need to decide if that belongs here or if I want to move that into more pink shades. Let's go ahead and deal with these here first, because these are lighter. Some of these I may end up moving either to my creamy shades. Yeah, see, that's a light creamy shade, so let's put that over to the side. That'll go with sort of my whites and creams and blacks at the very beginning of things. I think this might end up going to Peachy Pink. So this is Peach Fizz by Coastal Scents. Yeah, that's more peachy pink, so let's put that down with those. And this is the other shade that I think might not be in the right place. This is the shade Alluring, which I think is also going to be slightly peachy pink. Oh yeah, that's even warmer. All right, that'll go. All right, so for these, this is Wintertime. These are some of the duochrome sort of pinky purple shifting shades from Sydney Grace, and this is Immortal, which is a very similar looking shade, to be honest. In fact, I don't even really know if I need both of those. Those are so stinking similar. All right, I'm gonna pass on the shade Wintertime to a friend. I am gonna keep Immortal though. Let's see, this is Snake Eyes from, oopsie, this is ColourPop. See, that almost feels more rose goldy versus taupey purple. So I feel like I'm gonna shoot that down to more of the rose gold, sort of mauvey colors. And then this is the shade Urban Decay Midnight Cowboy Rides Again. This is another one of those moon dust ones that got a ton of glitter in them. It is pretty, but I don't know if I love this. I think I'm gonna pass that on to a friend. All right, so I'm gonna keep this one, and my battery is low, so let's go ahead and get that changed. All right guys, so here's where we're setting for my cool toned shadows. I think what I want to do next is actually my very light toned shades first, because the way I'm thinking about this in terms of my palette is I'm going to go from black to white and creams and things. All right guys, so here is all of those light lid shades, and then here are blacks. Let's get blacks out of the way first. I barely ever use black. I just find it to be too harsh. I tend not to go that smoky, and if I'm going to go that smoky, I tend to reach for a darker shade in the color family that I am working with rather than going with a black. So for example, I will go with a brown that's super dark. Or if I'm going more cool toned, oftentimes I'll reach for charcoal gray, or if I'm purple, I will reach for an eggplant. So I tend to reach for deepening shades that are already in their original color family versus straight up black. That being said, I would like to keep one of these. So let's swatch these real fast. All right, so the darkest, deepest black I definitely have is this Makeup Geek Corrupt eyeshadow, but I definitely feel like something's gone off on it. It feels like it's crumbly and weird in texture. So I definitely think, although this is my darkest black, I think I'm going to declutter it. I don't care for how these two swatched at the end, so this one doesn't even have a name on it, and this is from Coastal Scents in Incognito, so those I'm going to pass along. So we're really left with this one and this one. So this is Let's Do It by ColourPop, and this one is Sydney Grace in Meander. I feel like I'm going to keep Sydney Grace because I just like her matte formula. I find it to be one of my favorites. So I'm going to keep Meander from Sydney Grace. All right, so now we've got a lot of very light creamy shades. Let's go ahead and pull off the mattes to the side, and then we'll look at the shimmers secondarily. So I like having some of these lighter tones, although I definitely feel like I probably have some duplicates here. So let's go ahead and put these in an order. All right, so this is my only white shadow. I don't know if it's a great one. I do want to keep one though in my collection. This is Snow Bunny. And I feel like I could probably do better in terms of white shadows, packing a punch. I would like that. So that's Snow Bunny by Coastal Scents. And then this is the shade Vanilla by Anastasia. This one I also like a lot as well. Some of these are just going to blend into my wrist, guys, and you're not even going to see them. This is MAC Blanc Type. I used this a ton back in the day. Yeah, see, this is where it's like, do I need to keep those two shades? This is Drift by Sydney Grace. Oh yeah, see, and that is just so much more pigmented. Sydney Grace, so much better than MAC. This is Babyface by Makeup Geek. Yeah. This is Nude by Anastasia. This is used a ton. This is Fresh by Anastasia. That shade's gotten a ton of love from me. This is Chamois Nude by Coastal Scents. And then this is an unknown shade. I think this might be an old Ophir shade. That's very yellowy. All right, folks, this is pretty much a whole arm of not a lot. Let's see. So I'm going to keep this white one. I also want to keep Fresh from Anastasia. I want to keep that Sydney Grace shade, Drift. I'm going to keep Nude by Anastasia. And I think I'm going to keep Vanilla from Anastasia. All right, so we're going to pass these four on, and I'm going to keep these 5. All right, so this shade is Oyster from Sydney Grace. This is a really bright white pearl shade there. This is a gold shifting shade in Now and Zen by ColourPop. This is going to be white, but it's going to shift strongly gold. In fact, that may actually look better over here. Let's put that there because I kind of want to have these in order in terms of pink versus gold undertones. This is Milk and Cookies by Sydney Grace. A little softer of a color, less insanely white. This is Shimmer Shimmer by Makeup Geek. I love this tone. I've used it a ton. Just a really nice, soft sort of nude satin lid shade. This next, actually. This is White Sands by Luxie. This is a newer shadow for me as well. That one's really nice and soft. This is Caramel Ice from Coastal Scents. This one's going to be a little more peachy. This is Vermeer by Anastasia. This is a shade that was in the Modern Renaissance palette that I love so much that I went ahead and went out and purchased. And then this is Girl Talk by NYX. This is one of the NYX, what do they call these? Oh, I'll put it up here on the screen because I can't remember. So that is a little more pinky toned. We're running out of arm space here. All right, so then this is Nectar by Coastal Scents. This one's gonna be a little bit more of a light gold. Then we've got the shade Nylon from MAC. This was my inner corner highlight forever. Just done a really nice neutral looking satin shade. This is Sydney Grace Love, which is more peachy, but it's actually very similar to Nylon from MAC now that I'm looking at it. This is a gold shade called Elven Gold, and I'm wondering if this should be in my gold section. Yeah, that's a little too dark for here, so let's move that over. And then the last shade is that actually theirs, which is the Now in Zen shade from ColourPop. All right, I'm gonna pass this Sydney Grace shade on in Oyster. I just don't wear this bright white a lot, so I'm gonna pass that on. I'm also gonna pass on Shimmer Shimmer. It's just getting really old actually, so I think I'm gonna chuck that one because I also feel like Shimmer Shimmer is very, very similar to this shade here, which I'm keeping from Coastal Scents called Caramel Ice. I am keeping Milk and Cookies here, which is more of a satin white, a little more neutral though than this bright white. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pass on Girl Talk, which is more pinky toned. Down at this end, I am keeping this more gold shade here. I'm going to pass on MAC Nylon. I feel like I've used it a ton, but I actually prefer Sydney Grace Love. All right, I want to show you what I'm doing because as I sort of get these sorted and decide what I want to keep, I am putting them into this Adept palette first. So what I have done is put all of my light shades here going into my more cool tone shades, into my sort of taupey shades here. All right, so we're looking at the next sort of colorways. We're going into sort of muted purples and then into sort of brighter purples, and then we will move into more sort of fuchsia and then plummy type shades next. So let's get these organized. Let's pull the mattes out like we've done in the past. Now that I'm really kind of sorting these out, I don't know how many dupes I really have now that I kind of organize them this way. Let's go ahead and swatch these mattes though. So this is Winter Wonder by Sydney Grace. Absolutely beautiful muted lavender shade. And then this is Unexpected by Makeup Geek. Slightly more murky and less lavendery. Actually, those two tones may build nicely on one another. That makes more sense. Okay, so this is Tyrian Purple by Coastal Scents. That's a really pretty muted purple. I like that. And then this is Silver Lining by ColourPop. Definitely that dusky, murky lavender shade. This is Profound Plum by Coastal Scents. A little more blue-based. And then this is a really dark shade called Mittens. It's almost a blackened purple. And that's what I was saying. As opposed to just going in with plain black, I'd rather go in with a blackened purple when I'm doing these kinds of shades. So I honestly think I'm keeping all of those. I don't see any dupes and I like all those shades. All right, I feel like I have a whole slew of this type of shade and I feel like there's probably some duplicates. This is Pillow Talk by Makeup Geek. How's that one doing? Yeah, that's still really pretty. Nice silvery purple there. This is Genesis. This is a new shade that I just got from Luxie, and this is absolutely gorgeous duochrome, almost trichrome shifting shade. This is Glass Bowl by ColourPop. Definitely one of my favorite ColourPop shades. It's this almost wet looking shadow that shifts pink, blue, lavender. And then we get into some Sydney Grace ones that kind of do the same thing. So this is Winter Garden by Sydney Grace. Not as shiny, more of a satin finish compared to Glass Bowl. This is Winter Rose, which looks really similar actually, now that I see those two side by side. And then we've got Greatest Gift, also by Sydney Grace. So they're all looking very, very similar. This is Twilight by Makeup Geek. This one is looking a little powdery, so I feel like the formula has gone off on it. It is super old. It's a really pretty color, but I definitely feel like that one's gone off. This is Macaroon by Anastasia, which is a little more rosy. I feel like it's more purpley than the mauves that I have set off to the side. And then this is Drama Queen by Makeup Geek, which is sort of a blackened plum with a hint of shimmer. Because I kept that super dark Sydney Grace shade, I don't think I need to keep this. Definitely am keeping these first three. I think I need to decide between these two for Sydney Grace, and I'm gonna keep the pressed pigment version, Winter Garden, and I'm gonna pass along the shade Winter Rose. This one is different. I mean, it's very subtly different, but it shifts more greenish. This is Greatest Gift. I think I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna trash this Twilight shade from Makeup Geek, and then I'm gonna keep the shade Macaroon by Anastasia. So we'll hang on to those 6 shadows there. All right, so now we've got more true purples, and these are more purples that have I would say a bluish base to them versus a purpley shade like this that has more of a violet undertone to it. We'll get to those next, Violets and Berries. So let's go ahead and pull out the matte shades. I think I've got a lot of mattes actually in this section. And then we'll put the shimmers over here. And kind of like I was thinking, I don't know as if I have a ton of true dupes inside of here. So this is from ColourPop. This is the shade Toot Tango. These actually worked really well. This is more of a pinkish lavender. Should that go over here with these? Yep, I'm gonna move that. That should go more with the fuchsia shades now that I see that swatched on my wrist. All right, so then these are the more cool tone ones. This is the shade Howlin', also by ColourPop. Nice sort of little dusty lavender. This is the shade Violetville by Coastal Scents. This is the shade Antique Lilac by Coastal Scents. This is the shade Wisteria by ColourPop. No, Makeup Geek. And then this very dark purple is Edgy Eggplant by Coastal Scents. I don't have a deep purple, this cool toned one. This one needed some building, but you could get it there. Even though these first 2 shades look different in the pan, I feel like they give the same effect on the eye. So I'm gonna pass the Coastal Scents shade on, but I'm gonna keep these remaining 4. All right, let's swatch these. This is Whimsical. This is from NYX. This is their, gosh, what do they call these? It's driving me crazy. It's a formula that they have, and it's a really beautiful formula. You can buy the singles actually off of their website, and then you can buy the potted versions in store. So that is the shade Whimsical, and then this is the shade Dark Swan, also from NYX. But they did purples really well in this formula, I felt like. This is Fault Line by ColourPop. Curious to see how close that is to this one. Not at all. This one's a lot more of a royal purple and a lot lighter. This is Sydney Grace Awake. This is definitely more of I would consider that to be almost more of a royal purple. And then we have 1 shade left. That is Sydney Grace Jolly, which is really dark and vampy. Trying to decide if I need to keep that. Well, I might. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep that one because I feel like I kept this Mittens shade, but Mittens is a lot less purpley. It's a lot more neutral. This one definitely pulls a lot more of that blue purple. I also have these 2 shades here from, let's see, JD Glow. This is the shade Insane, which is a really bright purple with a ton of glitter. And this is the shade Good God. And this is one where I've debated purple versus blue because depending on where you swatch it, it can look purple or blue. And then in terms of shades here, I feel like everything is pretty unique. I think I'm just gonna change the order here. That feels better in order, and then I'll keep those 2 together. Before we move into fuchsias, I think I'm gonna try and load up the rest of that palette and see how we're doing for space. All right, so I went ahead and filled up the rest of this other side of this Adept Cosmetics palette with more of these purpley shades, and then I've left some space down here with these 2 JD Glow shades because I feel like this is a good transition point. Up next, we're moving into fuchsias, berries, mauves, the corals, and brighter oranges and reds. So that's kind of the flow for the next palette. So I think that this palette is looking really nice, moving from, in fact, let me turn it the way I would look at it. So that is palette number 1 filled up. We go from sort of taupey shades to purple shades, and I really like the flow of this. Plus I've got a little extra space, so if I do purchase any silvers or mid-tone grays, I can kind of transition myself and still have room there, and then there was still room for my 2 giant JD Glow shades down at the bottom there.